Hello and welcome to the new video. Today we're going to take a look at my favorite Great League team, but this time around in the Great League Remix Cup, because none of the Pokemon are actually banned, which is quite surprising in my opinion, because at least like Annihilate would be a Pokemon that you would most likely expect to be banned, but because for the Remix Cup, the Pokemon that are banned are based on the season prior, and all of the season prior, we don't have Annihilate banned because it just got introduced in the middle of the last season, so here we're also going to run a very spicy moveset. We are not going to run any nuke move on this Pokemon. As we have as a say swap here, we kind of want to basically have the perfect coverage against anything that can come in, and so what we're going to run here is going to be Ice Punch plus Night Slash. This Night Slash might be a little bit silly, but you're going to see that Ice Punch actually came in clutch quite often, and so we're going to see here as well that we're going to get the most amazing boost. And what I also have to say about this gameplay here as well is that I was quite unlucky, I have to say, with my Annihilate, because I basically only got the boost when they never mattered. So I feel like you would even have better results if you just have like some average luck, which I just didn't have. But still, this team does work out quite well still for this matter, and so I can highly recommend it to you, especially if you're going to encounter something like Tropius, as you're going to be able to do quite a lot of things with the Pokemon that you have left here. We can swap out and they decide to forfeit anyway. So, moving on, next opponent. This is the thing why maybe the Magnezone is quite decent. There's actually quite a lot of carbink, because carbink is the #1 Pokemon on PvPoke for this current meta. It is quite easy to counter with the Magnezone, as you have a double super effective move and you resist every move the opponent can go for. It is still actually a little bit tricky because you have way less defense compared to the opponent. You see already defense is kinda king, but it doesn't matter because you're gonna still end up in a very positive matchup here where you even get some extra energy. Here I decided to go for the charge move against the Superior. I could have also swapped out if I wanted to, but now I kind of want to align my Mantine anyway, and so I can even go for another Wild Charge, which is going to be able to connect and do quite a lot of damage against the opponent, if it would connect at least, and we gotta get actually a shield here, which is most likely even better, because Wild Charge would have not knocked them out, while now one charge move of my Mantine should be enough to knock them out. As you can see here, I was actually predicting them to try to catch a move, because they kind of have to make a play in order to come back, but they decided to not do this. But it doesn't really matter anyway, as you're gonna see here, if a Relegator is lurking in the back, we can go for a charge move here against the opponent. Aerial Ace is coming through, and so this is going to be able to get the shield. We can go into our Annihilate. They most likely gonna go for the CMP tile, but I don't care. Like, we know already the Superior is quite low, and we're going to be in a matchup where we can definitely have quite a lot of play here, as the Night Slash is going to be able to connect, knocking out the Relegator. In comes the Superior. They're way too low, and we can win this game quite easily. Next opponent. This is something that kind of happened to me quite often. I maybe make a mistake here. I decided to go ahead and go into my Annihilate, and I honestly should have not went to like do this here. I should go straight into my Mantine. If you're going to encounter a Steelix, please go into the Mantine, because basically Annihilate is your best and only really hard answer to the Steelix, even though it's actually not even a hard answer, which is kind of wild because Steelix runs the move Psychic Fangs nowadays. And so going into your Mantine is going to allow you to have just a little bit of a better matchup. Here, if we get a boost against the Dragonair, we would have a way better matchup as well, which we didn't, but it is what it is. At least we can go back into our Magnezone. This is going to be a very likely an Awkward Tail, which does around 50% of our health, even a little bit more, like around 60% here, which is kind of wild. We are forced to swap out immediately, but now we're going to end up in a scenario where they're going to have a Goodra against us. As you're going to see here, this is going to be a matchup. If you had Ice Beam, we might have a chance against the Goodra, but if you think about it, if we had Ice Beam, we don't have a chance against the Steelix. So running Water Pulse on the Mantine is quite important, I would say, just in order to have a better matchup against Steelix. You can, by the way, also substitute the Mantine with a Pokemon of Gligar, which is weirdly still available. Like, honestly, for Gligar, I just don't really get why it's still available. But yeah, it is what it is. Aerial is going to knock them out here, but we're not going to be able to get to another charge move. We would not be able to catch a move here anyway. This is not going to knock us out, but we're basically still there at 1 HP. And so I can try my best to maybe drop the opponent's attack so I can still survive a move, but it will not really happen here anyway. We never really have luck in those games here, which is kind of sad, but it is what it is. At least we're going to see here the bare minimum of the team. This was kind of a hard counter, and so we can move on to the next opponent. Let's see here, Magnezone against Magnezone. This is actually a funny matchup. Here are two things that you kind of want to consider. If you encounter a Shadow Magnezone against your Shadow Magnezone, what you want to do is you want to go for the bait. Why? Because one Wild Charge is basically enough to knock them out. if you encounter with your Shadow Magnezone a normal Magnezone, you should go straight for the Wild Charge. Why? Because Wild Charge is not knocking them out. They're usually overfarming anyway, and after hitting a Wild Charge against them, you're going to be able to just counter them down with the Annihilate. You wonder why I swapped out here? I wonder the same by the way as well here, because I did not really want to swap out, but the foul play is going to not knock us out either. We can try to go up to a Shadow Ball, like pretending that I have a Shadow Ball while going for a Night Slash. If I went for an Ice Punch, this would have been super effective against the opponent's Mandibuzz, but it is what it is. We can still go for another Night Slash here to get them a little bit lower at least. While it does not do a lot, it might come in clutch later on. We have to see about this. You're gonna be able to go ahead and go for a shield here against the opponent. It's going to be an Aerial Ace. Would be double resisted, but at this point, like anything, would knock out our Magnezone anyway. And so the opponent decides to actually let this move go through, which is quite nice for me, because against the opponent's Sableye, I can take one foul play, and they're now forced to go ahead and go for one return in order to knock us out. Here, I decided to go for a bait. I'm not too sure, maybe if they're going to let this move go through, the other move would have been better, but yeah, they actually decided to let this move go through, and so they are now in range for one Volt Switch, and I don't know why they did this, but I'm definitely going to take this, because now we can knock them out and win this game. Next opponent coming through, most likely the worst possible lead that you can encounter. So we swap out into the Annihilate to get completely walled by the Pelipper. Cool thing here is you can run the Zero Shield if you have Shadow Ball. Everybody is running Shadow Ball, so you can basically pretend that you're running Shadow Ball with the Annihilate, and you're still going to have a great time here, getting a shield from the opponent while also getting some damage onto them with the next incoming Night Slash, which is going to connect and do a little bit of damage. And again, here as you can see, another boost coming through, and we only got them when it literally did not matter at all. So, we have to go straight into our Magnezone. It's not a great lead matchup for us either, so I just decided to let this move go through. Tried my best in order to get as much energy as possible, but they swap out into a Gligar, and I was like, is there still a chance of winning this game? Here I make a little bit of a mistake, because this was actually a Team P-tie. It's going to be an Aerial Ace, double resisted, but because we are double debuffed, it is still going to chunk quite a bit. And so we swap out into the Mantine. Mantine is going to be able to take an Aerial Ace from the opponent here quite easily, but still not going to be a great matchup for me. And I make another mistake. I underestimated the energy that the opponent actually had, as they actually only needed one more fast move to get there, and so we're going to have a Team P-tie here, which is not really ideal. I make another mistake here by going for the Undercharge, because the opponent actually was able already to swap out, which I did not really see coming, and so we're now going to have a Mantine with one shield against, with two shields against all of the opponent's Pokemon here, and I actually decided to go for a ballsy play and not even shield this one. So we are now down to two basically 1 HP Pokemon and 2 shields against the opponent, and is this going to be worth it? I'm not too sure about it. Of course, now we are forced to use a shield here, because Awkward Tail would knock us out, but yeah, it's going to be a tough one. Good thing though is, the hardest answer to Magnezone is gone now. So all what they're going to have left after I shield up this move is Pokemon that have a double resisted fast move against us and regenerate energy quite fast. And so down goes the Gligar, and also down goes the opponent's Pelipper, allowing us to knock them out and win this game. Moving on to the next opponent. Magnezone against Flygon. Could you imagine a worse matchup for us? I don't think so. In comes a Tentacruel. And here we're going to have a very interesting matchup, because they are very likely expecting a Shadow Ball to come through. And they do, and so we're going to be able to get a shield here, which is lovely, as we can now use a shield as well. My goal is, I kind of want to swap out eventually at least from this matchup, because I have Ice Punch on the Annihilate. Nobody is running Ice Punch and the Night Slash, and so basically they will not expect that I have Ice Punch on my Pokemon here if I can align it later on against the opponent's Flygon. And so this might be a scenario where I might be able to just knock them out even if they have a shield, because I just don't expect it. And this would be quite cool. Now they don't have a shield anymore, but I can swap out. I try to catch a move, but they decide to go ahead and swap out into their own Water and Flying type Pokemon. It is not a Mantine, it is going to be a Pelipper, which is totally fine for me as well, as we can try to go for an Aerial Ace against the opponent. This is going to be able to connect and do quite some decent damage. As you can see, they're definitely going to be in range, of course, for one Volt Switch, but I try to go for a full farm down here. As you're gonna see as well, it's going to be a Hurricane, which is not going to take the knockout, and we can get up a ton of energy going for the Water Pulse against the opponent, against whatever is coming in. Basically here it's going to be the opponent's Tentacruel, which is totally fine. And so it's now a full HP Flygon left, and they most likely think, oh, we're going to be great here. No, you're not, because one Ice Punch is going to be double super effective, knocking them out straight away, and our coverage move came in clutch there. This opponent was frustrating. What you're gonna see here is actually again Ice Punch coming in clutch because they will most likely not expect it here on the Mandibus, and we're going to have a Wobbuffet in the lead. And if you see a Wobbuffet in the lead, a lot of times it's going to be a timeout team. And honestly, it is going to be an interesting matchup here anyway. If I knew what they have in the back, I would have of course played this matchup here especially a bit differently. But as you're gonna see, it's going to be an aerial ace coming through. I was like, that's fine, I can get all the energy on my Magnezone. And like, against a normal team, I think this is the correct play here to just go ahead and get some energy on the Magnezone, maybe use a shield here. Dark Pulse still going to do around like 50% of our health. But this is not a normal battle. Why is it not a normal battle? We're going to see it here right now as well. We can go for a wild charge against the opponent's Wobbuffet. It does around like 30% of the opponent's health, which is kind of wild. And so we can swap out now into our Mantine. In comes a Blissey. Blissey is so much worse for me than anything else could have been, really, because this Pokemon can tank any kind of hit, as you're gonna see here as well. And we had a community day recently, a community day for Wild Charge on this Pokemon. Here I overfarmed by a little bit too much, by the way. This is definitely a mistake by me. If I didn't overfarm by that much, at least at this point here right now, my play is to try to catch a Wild Charge on my Magnezone. This is like the only way of me winning this game, but because I overfarmed so much, they get to this move here as well, and this was definitely a mistake that I could have avoided. I tried to catch the next move, which did not work out at all, as the opponent predicted this. I can still go for a charge move here. This is going to be able to hopefully get the shield from the opponent. It does, but we're not going to be in a great spot. This is going to be just a mirror code, which we can still survive no matter what they're gonna do here. But I kind of need to get some energy onto my Mantine, and so I decided to, undercharge this a little bit, just so I can go for a little bit more extra farm, hoping that one Water Pulse is going to be enough to knock them out. As you guys see, Mirror Code is coming through. They can now, we can just farm them all the way down. We can still go for a Water Pulse, but Water Pulse would have not been enough from this range. So yeah, good game to the opponent. Wild Charge, it was wild here, and we can move on to the final battle of today. No, we are not in Ace rank Elo range. I am just encountering complete wild hard counter stuff here right now. This is like close to legend range, by the way, in terms of the MMR. I haven't really been playing a lot over the last few days, by the way, so like I was trying to do some battles, but honestly, right now there's quite a lot of lag happening on the game, and I just don't really enjoy those type of battles when it's like laggy quite a lot there. But yeah, as you can see, we're going to have the matchup against the Lostheart. They're going for the bait here, which is kind of great for me, as we can now get a shield advantage, which we're going to lose immediately now, because I decided to use a shield here. But also, we can at least get some energy. We are forced to swap out basically immediately. I tried to overfarm by a little bit so I can get at least one charge move up. And as you can see, it's going to be the Jellicent in the back. This matchup, I honestly don't understand. Always when I play my own Jellicent, like this Pokemon is never really great for me. But every time I encounter it, it's basically my worst enemy. Like this thing is just always so bulky, so spammy. It always gets like the bait correct. I don't like this Pokemon, but at least we're going to be able to go ahead and go for an aerial ace here again. We're going to get them kind of low. We can force a final shield here, and maybe we can basically knock them out here with our Magnezone, but let's see here. They're going to go for a charge move before that, so that's going to be a little bit of an awkward one. And as you can see, the Shadow Ball is going to connect here. We're going to be kind of low, and I try to go ahead and go for one fast move and then the charge move, but they can actually snipe me here. Sand Tomb is not enough though, and so what we can do is we can go for another mirror shot. This is going to do half of the opponent's health, and so as we can reach another one here, Wild Charge would have done, I think, a little bit more actually still, even though it's double resisted. We're going to get them kind of low enough to farm them down, at least that's what I thought, but they can still go for another charge move. It's just a Phantom again, and we have now the aerial ace stored, and so we can actually still win this battle. And this is going to be also it for the video. We can claim the set now here as well, which is, I think, going to be a 4-1 again, which is going to be kind of nice. So like this team definitely still works out pretty well. Like my favorite team for the Great League definitely still works, but of course, like this team is designed to counter the open Great League meta. This is not really the same meta here anymore, so it is a little bit more tricky, but it is what it is. Hope you enjoyed this one. If you did, feel free to leave a like, and I'll see you then. Bye bye.